Everybody hear that?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, now we are on. Okay, well, want to welcome everybody to George Music for All Four Seasons. And today's show is going to be with some real Jersey boys. Carmine, I know I've asked before, what part of back east are you from? I don't think you're from New Jersey, right?
No, I'm from Mount Vernon, New York. It's part of Westchester County, about 45 minutes away from New York City.
Okay, well, we have two original Jersey boys, Mr. David Cace, Mr. Anthony Colatrella, and we also have Carmine. Carmine happens to be a huge Four Seasons fan. He's also an expert on Four Seasons instrumental records, and he might want to share a little bit of that with us today. David Cace, very professional individual, was fortunate enough to establish a close to 50-year relationship with Tommy DeVito, founding member of the Four Seasons. Also met Nick Massey and other members of the band. So we're going to have stories from him. And we have Mr. Anthony Colatrella, another real Jersey boy that grew up where the Four Seasons are from. Also has some stories to share with us. And gentlemen, if you want to say a few things about yourself, and let's get the show on the road.
Well, I'm from Hoboken, New Jersey, the home of another Italian singer of some fame.
That's right,
Mr. Frank Sinatra. And I don't know if I told you guys the last time, but my mother's sister, her oldest sister, my Aunt Helen, used to babysit for little Frank Sinatra.
Wow!
Back in the day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So other than being a handsome fellow and recently retired CPA, no tax questions, please. That's about it. Turn it over to Anthony.
Okay, Anthony, take it away, buddy.
Well, I was born in Newark, which is the birthplace of Frankie Valli. But at the age of 10, the family moved to Belleville, which is and I went to school. And my church was located in Silver Lake, the Silver Lake area of Belleville. The Silver Lake area was essentially the Italian area of Belleville. It was probably 100% Italian. Wow. Everybody in my class was Italian, and everyone in the surrounding area was Italian. It was a great. If you were Italian, it was a great neighborhood. Frankie Valli's brother was a year behind me, Bobby Valli, who's become a sort of a well-known performer in his own right.
He sure has.
He was a year behind me at St. Anthony's School. And the church right around the corner from the church was Belmont Avenue, where Tommy DeVito lived, and the famous Belmont Tavern, where I guess they hung out. And right along Franklin Street was the Bellbrook Tavern, where legend has it Frankie came in through the back door, and they called him up to the stage. That was where he gave his first performance, at the Bellbrook Tavern.
That is something else.
Yeah. And my grandmother lived in Stephen Crane Village, which was right along the border of the same area there, Silver Lake, and not far from. She lived on North Hawthorne Lane, and the Castelluccios lived on North Pine Lane, so not far. And I've told this story before that when we were visiting my grandmother one day, and it was in the summer, and of course this was in the 50s. They didn't have air conditioning. So the air conditioning was, when it was hot, everyone would open up their windows. That was the air conditioning, or put on the electric fans, those things that went around. And but this one day, I clearly heard people singing, men singing. So I asked Grandma, "What's that?" And she said, "Oh, that's the boys down the block there. They're rehearsing. They're rehearsing." So I sort of took a little walk and followed the voices, but before I got to where it was coming from, it stopped. So I stopped and I just waited a few seconds, and then the screen door opened and a young man, obviously a young man, came to the door, and I saw him and he saw me and he just sort of gave a little wave and then went back inside. I think he actually flicked a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
uh, in retrospect, I think that was Frankie Valli. It certainly, in retrospect, it certainly looked like him. But
Wow.
no words were spoken. It was
Yeah.
just someone I saw. So
Yeah. Now, Anthony, if I can ask you, around what year was this?
well, that would have been like 57, 58.
Wow.
Yeah.
It would have been perfect.
Yeah. It was probably about 1958. So I mean, they weren't the Four Seasons yet. I mean,
Right.
I just knew Castelluccio's. I didn't know he was a singer or that they were in a band, the Four Lovers. But I heard them singing. I heard the singing, and Grandma said, "That's the boys rehearsing."
Yeah. So then right now you mentioned you knew the Castelluccios. You were familiar with the Castelluccio family living there, Frankie Valli's family living there.
Well, yeah, because the brother, he was.
That's right.
He was much younger. He's like about 15 years younger than Frankie is, but he was a year, at least a grade behind me. I was in 8th grade. He was in 7th grade. So I knew him as Robert Castelluccio.
Got it.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, and then a few years later, I found out that he wanted to become a singer.
Yeah.
And so obviously he made it. The other thing is, this is interesting. I don't know well, maybe I should let somebody else talk and then I could pick it up afterward.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay, Anthony, why don't we turn over to Carmine? Carmine, any interesting little tidbit you want to share there? Any run-ins with the band? Not run-ins, but
Yeah, by the way, Anthony's story is very interesting. Something I didn't know. Really very good.
I love it. Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to say I was born and raised in Mount Vernon, New York, lived here all my life. And I'm sort of an indirect neighbor of Bob Gaudio. He is from the Bronx, but he studied under a guy by the name of Sal Mosca, who was from Mount Vernon. That was his teacher.
Sal Mosca, right.
Yeah, that was his teacher. And, my first time going backstage to the Four Seasons was in 1967 at the Woolman's Memorial Skating Ring in Central Park. And I'll tell you, it was the most exciting night of my life, capitalized it because I went to the barricade. This short Italian guy came out, said his name was Anthony Di Pasquale. I later found out was one of the road managers of the Seasons. And I said, I belong to the Four Seasons fan club, which is run by Joan Tromley out of Jackson Heights, Queens,
Yeah.
I presented the card, the pink card, and he looked at it. I said, yeah, sure. I'm sure they'll be glad to see you. That's what he said. So I got all excited and all that, and I ran back. I couldn't believe it. I told my friends about it. Their eyes popped out of their head. Their jaws dropped. They thought I was full of baloney, And I was kind of leery, but excited at the same time. In the meantime, the concert was right.
Yeah. Carmine, I'm sorry. If I could just interrupt real quick. I do apologize. Could you speak just a little louder?
Yes, sure. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Better.
So the concert was reaching its peak. And the music was at its crescendo, and like Seasons were getting a standing ovation, and it was like I think Ragdoll was the last song. So I started heading towards the barricade, and once that was completed, he came out, got me, brought me backstage. That was it.
Interesting. And Carmine, you also have pictures of that evening where you met some of the guys, right?
Yeah, I met them all.
Joe Long, Bob Gaudio, Frankie Valli. Yeah, you've shared those.
Say a few things they said backstage, but that night was so exciting because number one, they broke the attendance record. They made the announcement. Number two, Clay Cole was on stage. He hosted the Clay Cole show, which is a New York, music, show similar to Dick Clark's American Bandstand. And he said it was the greatest concert he ever saw in his life.
Wow.
And I spoke with Joe Long the longest for a while. I'm not going to take too long to elaborate, but as I was leaving, Gaudio looked so exhausted. If he did an interview with some reporter, and I said, Bob, with that beard, you look a lot like Steve Reeves. He said, well, I might look like him. I sure don't feel like him. He smiled, he winked his eye at me, and I left.
Interesting. Now in 67, I mean, the Four Seasons were still definitely at the top of their game. I mean, charting records under different names, and Bob Gaudio's "Silence Is Golden" hitting the charts. I mean, it was a great year for them.
Yeah, well, at that time too, to make a parallel analogy, the sword and sandal, genre reached its peak. I mean, so I'm wondering if Gaudio got the idea to grow that beard to look like that. Because at that time those movies reached its peak, and I used to go see them every week in the movie theater with, Steve Reeves and Gordon
Yeah,
Scott.
don't you post pictures of Steve Reeves occasionally, Carmine, don't you?
Oh yeah, I'm a big. Oh, he was Superman who came to life. He was so. God broke the mold when he made him. That's what I could say. I met him too.
But
Oh, did you?
the most interesting thing about those movies is that the theme song became the most famous, part of those movies.
Oh, the theme song was beautiful, and also it was sung by Sylvia Koshina, who played his wife in the second movie. Da 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 da. Yeah, sure.
Very, very interesting, Carmine. Appreciate
Carmine, that was the first concert you went to?
Well, actually, that first concert I went backstage. I saw the Seasons at the House of Liverpool in Yonkers, New York, near me. I saw them there. But the '67 concert, July 19th, 1967, that was my big night because they announced that they broke the attendance record, and I think they may have violated the New York Health and Safety
Fire code.
more people to go into the concert, but they
Wow.
broke the record, and
It was because of you.
that year, like the Young Rascals. So the Seasons broke. They were the biggest act there.
Wow.
The reason I asked, Carmine, so you didn't see them at the World's Fair?
No, I didn't, but there was a big show out there too. Did you?
Oh,
see
yeah. You were there?
No, I wasn't. Were you there? It must have been a pretty
Yeah.
big show.
Yeah. My father took me on whatever train it was. From Hoboken, we went. We got the train and we went to Queens, and there was a big outdoor arena. Really.
Wow.
David, can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
I mean, Carmine, were you finished? Were you ready to turn it over to another guest?
I just want to ask Dave something. I said,
Go ahead, please.
That must have been quite a hike to go way out there, But I'm wondering how big the crowd was. It must have been about 10, 15,000, something like that.
Yeah, it was at least 10,000. Yeah. The hike wasn't all that. We get Hoboken is. I can get to places in Manhattan quicker than people who live in Manhattan.
Yeah, they also played Freedom Land too in the Bronx.
Freedom Land, yeah. My father took me there too. So that was a hike.
Yeah,
that was a hike.
Well, that's Gaudio's hometown. That's Gaudio's hometown, the Bronx. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My father took me to Yankee Stadium many times. He was a big baseball fan.
Wow,
and then which isn't bad. As far as commuting is concerned. First stop, I think, once you get into the Bronx. Freedom Land. I thought I was going to Afghanistan. I mean, it was forever to get there.
Yeah, well, the Bronx is a very huge borough of New York. It's humongous. It's like it stretches out to infinity, Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Freedom Land was way out there.
But close to Gaudio's home, though, his old home in the Bronx.
Yep, there's the original home. Yep.
As a matter of fact, the Mount St. Michael Academy, which is about half a mile from where I used to live, his grandparents lived there. Because I asked him about that, and he told me.
Interesting. David, maybe we could turn it over to you for a couple of minutes. You mentioned, actually, Carmine, the World's Fair. Now, was that the 64, 65 World's Fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have tried to look for information on the performances of the Four Seasons at that fair. There's very little, if any. A couple years back, I was fortunate enough to purchase a set of autographs from a young man who was selling them for his grandmother. His grandmother attended the New York World's Fair. I mean, she was a teenager, I think 14, 15 years old. And she went with her girlfriends to go see the Four Seasons. She had mentioned that at the performance she attended, it was a very light crowd. But when they approached the venue, the Four Seasons were outside, and they walked and they were talking with the young ladies, and they gave them a set of autographs to just the one, because she wanted them. And there's even one from their drummer at the time, Ronald Roach.
Ronnie Roach, yeah.
Tommy, Bob Gaudio, Nick Massey, and Frankie Valli. And I went and I posted them on the channel, and she went and she commented, say, you know what? I had my grandson sell those, and she even shared the story on how she acquired them. So I'm just really interested on their performances. Maybe you can share some of that, because she mentioned that the attendance that evening was very, very light.
Well, I don't remember that. I can't say that it was 100% full, but
Yeah.
there was.
Maybe it was a different show.
It could have been. Yeah, I mean, I think it was at
they
least
had
once,
different
not
shows.
twice, that they appeared there.
Yeah.
And
now this was at the peak of Ragdoll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. So how was it, David?
Oh, it was very exciting. The what I recall, and it didn't really occur to me until after the the release of the VJ live, quote, live album. I believe that my recollection is particularly as I get older, that they had something of a band. So they did, as I recall, they did some of the Blues in the Night, or a couple of 3 songs from that. So
from that album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Freedom Land, Freedom Land was a big arena, but not half the size, if not smaller than the World's Fair.
Yeah, but the World's Fair, do you remember what month? Do you know how many shows that they actually put on? What was it like? No, okay, because I think I remember reading they played, I think, either 3 or 4 days in a row. There was an early afternoon show and then a late show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think we went in the afternoon, and my father, God bless him, what a wonderful guy.
That's great. That's great, David.
I was 14, and I guess when I turned 15, I was allowed to go to Shea Stadium by myself with some friends.
Awesome.
But
God, I love it. I love it. That is great. And I believe, Anthony, your first time seeing the Four Seasons was it 64 at the height of Ragdoll?
It was the summer of 64. Hey, before I tell you, I just wanted to bring this up. I know you posted that those autographs on your channel, or maybe one of the Facebook pages. Yeah. And somebody commented and said, that's definitely not Ronnie Roach's signature. It's definitely his handwriting. And I said, well, George paid for it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
Somebody came to your defense, and they I forget who it was, but someone else also then posted an autograph and said it was verified, it was certified, and it looked exactly like the same signature of Ronnie Roach that you had. So,
well, the very few signatures or autographs I've seen of Ronnie Roach, it does match. And I have another program with the signature of Tommy DeVito's brother, who worked in the band, and Ronald Roach also signed it, and it matches perfectly.
Yeah.
That was Mike DeVito, wasn't that Mike DeVito? That was his brother.
Two of his brothers.
Yeah, it was 2 of his brothers. I'm not sure if it was Mike DeVito though.
Yeah.
Well, Mike was backstage in Central Park when I saw them.
Yeah, it was Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better known as my Gooch.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that, Anthony. I didn't know someone had commented on that, saying
they disputed it. How could you dispute George? And
I don't. I mean, it's maybe it was
memorabilia collection.
Yeah.
But it was verified.
Interesting.
What were we? Bringing up Ronnie Roach. Yeah. So my first concert, I went to.
And now Ronnie Roach was the Four Seasons drummer from what year to what year?
He was their first regular touring drummer, and he started sometime in 63, and he lasted to I'm not exactly the exact date, but sometime in 66.
Got it.
Early 66.
Joe Casseri took over. Joe Casseri.
Joey Cass then took over. This is 1964, so there's no such thing as Facebook and cell phones, and people aren't, communicating with each other. So I don't remember ever hearing about Four Season concerts. I mean, it's the first time I heard Sherry. I was hooked on the Four Seasons, and I was buying all their records and albums, but I don't recall ever any advertisements about concerts.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, it was and that's how I got to know that they were going to be at Freedom Land and the World's
yeah, for
Fair.
something like that.
Was
Yeah,
because we used to get, again, Hoboken. So, the New York Daily News,
right.
that was as far as we were concerned, we, I mean, my father was a longshoreman. So, I mean,
That was
reading
the only. I
the
was
New York
going to.
Times was not in our thing,
Yeah, well,
but
Dave, Dave, I want
was
to ask you,
Daily News.
wasn't Smokey Robinson on before them? Because I think he traveled. He was part of that show with the seasons that Freedom Land. You remember that, Dave?
I do, and the reason I hesitate a little bit is because I got to tell you guys, I really had very little interest in music until just like Anthony said, until I heard Sherry.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, coming from Hoboken, I mean, I must have heard the name Frank Sinatra mentioned, 10,000 times.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if I mentioned this to you. My father was a big sports fan, and actually he was a professional boxer.
That's right.
Wow.
So he was a big boxing fan, of course, and he loved baseball. So he took me to these places. But the reason I saw the papers because every night there was a guy who would sell the first edition of the New York Daily News, and we'd pick it up, and I would I mean what I would do even at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I mean I would go and look at the box scores to to follow if did Mickey Mantle get a hit and was he going to surpass Ted Williams as far as the batting was concerned. And the answer was no. but that's that was kind of like I don't want to call it a religion, but that was the deal. And we lived 2 blocks from the main street in Hoboken, which is Washington Street. So I'd go up and 9 o'clock is the guy that I forget the guy, but I can visualize his face. And he had a little portable newsstand, and he would be selling the first edition of the New York Daily News from there.
Interesting.
So that's why that's the only reason I knew that they were going to be playing at Freedom Land or the World's Fair. Yeah, that's the only reason I knew. Because as Anthony said, who the hell knew about cell phones and what have you?
Yeah. Well, years later, Dave, they used to advertise the Central Park concerts by Rheingold in the newspapers. That's how I got to know about the concert there that I saw in '67.
But I got a great. I mean, I got a great story. And that Freedom Land was not the first. That was '63, and those people who ever invested in Freedom Land were pretty dumb. I think, with hindsight.
I'm sorry, David. You said
Disneyland in the Bronx didn't work.
Yeah, I'm sorry, David. You said Freedom Land was '63. What do you mean it was '63? Built in '63, or you saw them in '63?
I saw them in '63.
You saw the Four Seasons in '63.
You're right. I think Freedom Land was maybe the year before that. And what great minds would build a Disneyland or attempted Disneyland in the Bronx a couple of years before the World's Fair was going to be in Queens? I mean, what
And on top of that, it's sunk below sea level. Now it's Co-op City. You got all apartment buildings.
City. Yep, all kinds of public housing there.
Yeah, I'm about 20 minutes away from there. I
figured you were based on what you were describing. Yeah. So I mean, the first time. And when I heard Sherry, just like Anthony said, I mean, I was just like, I had no interest in music, but that's what turned me on, and plus, as I guess Frankie says in it, something about girls in red dresses. Yeah, I was 12 and a half, so I was beginning to take notice of that. And so that's when my mother, asked my, oldest stepbrother, to talk to him, meaning me. He's driving us crazy with playing this music. And, particularly the album cuts, which is, Frankie at his singing all the oldies at the height of his vocal falsetto. So, and that's when that's when Johnny told her, no, they're okay. I know these guys, Anyway, my Christmas present for 1962. Now, I was 12 years old. So you got to get, when you were 12 years old, you were done with toys, and your relatives bought you clothes. Who the hell wants that?
Yeah.
And I mean, you're 12 years old, right? So, Christmas Eve was always at our apartment in Hoboken, and because Hoboken was central to everything at the time for the family, and then so everybody gave me they gave me money, which was great, so I could go hang out in the bowling alley and bowl 20 games. So, but he said, I don't have it with me, but I'll be back tomorrow, or was it tomorrow or the next day? I guess it wasn't Christmas Day; it was the next day. And he says, "Come on, let's go for a ride." So I said, "Okay."
Now this is your brother, right? Your
Right,
brother.
Johnny.
Okay, got it.
Step brother.
Yeah.
So he says, "Yeah, come on," and he used to take me to, I don't know, maybe Anthony knows this, Journal Square in Jersey City, and there were 3 movie theaters there, and Hoboken had one at the time too, actually 2 of them, but there was one big one, the Fabian Theater. Anyway, but to go to Journal Square was a big deal. It took 5 minutes to get there, but it was a big deal. And so we used to pass the Holland Tunnel to go to Jersey City. So instead of making a right to go up the ramp to Jersey City, he makes a left, and we go through the Holland Tunnel. Now, I went to Yankee Stadium a lot, and the bus went through the Lincoln Tunnel. Never had gone through the Holland Tunnel. So, and then we go over a bridge, and I don't know where the hell he's going. Okay. And we're driving around in places that, and look like Hoboken in the sense that it was all narrow streets and, but he finds where he was going, and he parked the car. He had a little Nash Rambler, which was good because he parked it in a small thing. And then we walk a couple, 3 blocks, and there, a big sign, Murray the K Christmas Show, the Brooklyn Fox.
Wow.
Whoa.
I mean, I've been to Yankee Stadium, and when there's been 50 and 60,000 people in there, but I tell
That
you,
was 1962 you're talking about?
Yeah.
So that's when the Four Seasons first appeared on
Well, Christmas show, yeah.
So then, if I could interject, David, and I do apologize. So then, the Christmas show you attended, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony or Carmine, that is the Christmas show that Tony Orlando has described on his radio show with the Four Seasons appearing and how they brought the house down. But I'll let David tell. But go ahead.
No, I heard that same interview, and that's exactly right. As soon as Tommy started, the place went nuts.
Wow.
And I've been to 60,000 people, and cheering and screaming and hollering. There was nothing like what was inside that place, the Brooklyn Fox.
And that's what Tony Orlando has said, because before it was Jackie Wilson that really brought the house down. Yep. He was the one who closed those shows, but now it was the Four Seasons doing it. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's right. He described it better than I could, but and I didn't know the only act I knew. Again, I had no interest in music at the time. The only act I knew was Joey D and the Starlighters doing the Peppermint Twist, because everybody was kind of like singing that on the streets,
Right.
I didn't know who these people were, I kind of fell in love with Ronnie Spector, but again, 12 and a half years old,
and why not?
who didn't fall in love with Ronnie Spector?
Yeah.
But I didn't know who she was at the time, because I didn't listen to the radio. But
and that was even before Be My Baby. I think Be My Baby was 63, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't know what she's saying. I don't like I said, and we weren't exactly. We were a little late too, and we were in the balcony. But I guess that's the best he could do as far as getting seats at a short notice. But it was, and that hooked me on going to see them live. And
so then you saw probably one of their obviously their very early concert performances.
Yeah. As the Four Seasons, and so it was. I mean, the place was crazy. I mean, it shook. It really, the balcony shook.
Wow, that is interesting. That's interesting.
Like I said, that hooked me, and then I'd go back. Like I told you the last time. my father was a professional athlete. I wish I had some of his his athletic ability. The only one I was good at was bowling.
Bowling.
So I'd go to the bowling alley and tell all the guys, who were all older than me. And so eventually we got, I convinced them to get into the habit of going to shows. So the first show where I didn't go with my father was Asbury Park Convention Hall. I think didn't we go to the bathroom at the same time, Anthony?
Yeah, I remember.
What?